Has science done away with religion? Can miracles even happen? Did Jesus rise from the dead? Welcome to Gray Matters. Gray Matters is an apologetics ministry of Stanley Park Baptist Church, where we discuss the latest trends of scholarship and matters of theology, science, and philosophy from a Christian worldview. My name is Mark, and I'll be your guide through this very brief introduction to our channel. As I said, my name is Mark, and I'm a layman researcher, and I have been interested in apologetics for the past 7 years. And I have been very passionate and driven when it comes to apologetics, for having people learn to share their faith better and with clarity and with precision. And my main focus and my main interest when it comes to apologetics is what can be called Christian origins, which would be New Testament studies, everything relating to Jesus, the birth of the church. Of course, that means our New Testament and everything involved with that. And also, too, I've been terribly interested in philosophy of religion. Philosophy of religion covers a vast variety of things when it comes to religion. This isn't just about a study of religion. This asks the question about, or addressing questions about religious truth claims. Things like the concepts of God, natural theology, proofs for God's existence, classical arguments for God's existence, religious experience, revelation, miracles, even asking the question, do the natural sciences undermine religious belief? The problem of religious language and so forth. So this encompasses so many things which can in turn delve into apologetics. So I will be your main guide for this channel. And also I'm very privileged to introduce Ryan and Paul. Ryan is a PhD in chemistry and has been a member of our church for a number of years. He is a professor of science at a local college, and he has been quite the resource and encouragement for us as a group when we have science-related questions. And most recently, Ryan has been involved in delving into cultural apologetics. And being a professor and being on campus, he has not just a wealth of experience, but also some very important insights into what are these socio-political and cultural issues that our people on campuses, our young people dealing with. Of course, this is the place where our future can be influenced from. So Ryan has been a great resource, and he has given talks on abiogenesis, on scientism, and many other things. So whenever Ryan gets a chance to speak with us, it's always a privilege. And Paul and myself were kind of the co-founders of this group over the past 2 or 3 years. And you could say that Gray Matters comes from the gray matter of Paul Hamill, or his brainchild, if you will. So we are pleased and privileged to serve the church in this capacity. Apologetics covers a vast array of subjects, so it's always interesting and it's always stimulating. And we keep that we not just cover things about the Bible, but certainly so many more things that are prevalent in our lives today. Of course, we have the existence of God, and looking at that question, what are the objections to the existence of God? Of course, this covers things from natural theology and arguing for God apart from divine revelation. In other words, from the Bible or any kind of special channeling that someone has received, perhaps like Muhammad, who just received a vision, and then from him, a whole religion is born. Gospel differences and errors, can they be harmonized and explained? We will be looking at those in the next few weeks. Science and Christianity, are they at odds? Christians and non-Christians say yes. Or is there a potential harmony for both of them? Body, soul, and the argument from the mind. Of course, we will delve into the neurosciences and philosophy of mind. And there's certainly a lot of very interesting studies that go back and forth. But we believe that the soul does exist. The Trinity, the incarnation and the resurrection of Jesus. This is the monumental and the heart of Christianity. The deity, death, and resurrection of Christ. And we want to look deeper at these doctrines, and knowing these doctrines and where they came from in Scripture, how they were formulated, will help us answer quite a lot of questions when it comes to our faith. The reliability of the Bible. Of course, this is going to encapsulate everything when it comes to scriptures. So we will certainly have different series headings where we will divide these things up. But this could be textual criticism. How did we get our Bible? Is what they had then what we have now? Those type of questions. Oral history and traditions. What are the embedded history and oral creeds that are actually within the New Testament that shows the gospel oral traditions that have been picked up by the writers? Things like authors, dating, gospel genres, Paul's letters and epistles, and the nature of them, and so forth. So there's so many things to cover with the Bible. And the idea of miracles, can they even occur? Or are, like the Humeans say, are they violations of natural laws? The problem of evil and suffering. This is a huge thing. This is the biggest objection to the existence of God, both for the believer and the unbeliever. We all feel the weight of seeing evil and suffering in our world, and it just seems so pointless at times. So we will look at those arguments, not just from Christian doctrines, which help us formulate how we're to look at our own suffering and the sufferings of others, but also there are philosophical arguments over the last 100 years that have really made some progress and are really, really good to look at. So we will have a moment to look at those. Christianity and the world. In other words, this is religious diversity. This is the world that we live in. It's a beautiful, diverse world, but we'll also look at what are the claims of religious pluralists who say that there is no one true religion, or there couldn't be one true religion, that we can be respectful and have our differences, but we believe that Christianity is true. So can Jesus be the only way? And what about those who haven't heard about Christ? This is a huge topic that we'll tackle. And of course, these very secondary and interesting topics of the Greco-Roman world and Second Temple Jewish literature. Second Temple Jewish literature, people probably don't know much about that. Of course, as Christians, we would know that there was this quote unquote 400 years of silence between the Old Testament prophets and the time of when Jesus arrived on earth. But the Jews were certainly quite busy at writing quite a lot of literature and quite a lot of history in this time in the Jewish world. So a lot of that is very important for understanding a lot of what Paul's arguments are, some things that happens in the life of Jesus, the expectations of the people. So we want to look at that. Creeds and councils formulated in the first few hundred years of the church. We have the beliefs of the church that are going out geographically and throughout time, but also how these creeds from the biblical data get formulated, and then councils are formed. How do we address these things? And of course, the early church fathers. Heaven and hell, the doctrines from Scripture. We will look at those and kind of examine them closely and talk about the afterlife. What are some other beliefs from other religions, and how are they competing with the Christian worldview? So apologetics, in a sense, is to give a defense or a reason for the faith and hope that we have. This is a command that Peter instructs us in 1 Peter 3:15. Of course, this is the backbone apologetics verse. So 3 things it can do, and I strongly recommend, if you're watching this video, I can highly attest to this. I didn't even know apologetics existed as a believer for the first 15, 20 years of my life. And then when I started to discover it, how important it really, really is when it comes to not just interacting with the outside world, but just for ourselves and knowing God even deeper. This will strengthen the believer. This will allow a person to actually look at certain doctrines, certain things in Scripture, what they say, and have a deeper understanding of the Lord. And from that, in turn, also from your walk, it will embolden your sharing and your witness, because then you will have looked at some of these questions, some of these answers, some of these teachings, knowing what the Bible teaches, that we in turn can respond to some objections that come forward. And you'll be 2 steps ahead of the person who's going to respond to the things that you say. You're already prepared. And then the third thing, it's going to dislodge objections to the Christian faith. In other words, you're going to remove obstacles from people in front of them so they can see that Christianity is a viable and important option, and it's the option that there is really no good reason to object to the Christian faith. So in other words, we're going to have precision and clarity, not just with our words and responses to people, but in our understanding. So let's take a closer look. Let's get together. Let's come together as believers. And if you're a skeptic or an unbeliever, you are welcome here. We encourage you to tune in and see what we're about. Grey Matters looks to upload a video at least perhaps once a week. We will try and do that. If not, maybe once every 2 weeks from both Ryan, myself, and others. So won't you join us? God bless you. Thanks for watching.